You wake up, not in a rush, just a normal morning. You grab your phone, open your bank app, and check your balance. There's money there, enough to cover your rent. Your bills are paid, your card isn't declining. Nothing is technically wrong, but still, there's this feeling, a small hesitation, like something isn't quite right. You close the app, make coffee, start your day, but it follows you. You think about ordering food later, then decide not to. You look at something online, add it to cart, then leave it there. Not because you can't afford it, but because it feels like you shouldn't. And that's the confusing part. Because when you actually sit down and look at your numbers, you're not broke. You have savings. Maybe not huge, but real. You're investing, trying to be responsible, doing what you're supposed to do. So why does it still feel like you're behind? Why does spending feel uncomfortable even when it makes sense? Why does your progress feel invisible even when it's happening? And more importantly, how can two people with almost identical finances feel completely different about money? One feels calm, the other feels stuck. Same numbers, different experience. That feeling has a name, and it's not about your bank balance. It's about how you see it. Hi, I'm Rishi, and today we're talking about something that doesn't get discussed enough. Not being broke, but feeling broke, even when you're doing things right. Saving, working, trying to be responsible, yet still feeling like you're falling short. This is what many people call money dysmorphia. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing your situation very differently. Let's get into it.
It's not obvious. There's no single sign, but it shows up in small ways. You avoid checking your investment account, even though you've been contributing regularly. You compare yourself to people online who seem to be doing better. You feel behind, even without a clear reason. Let's say you've saved $25,000. A few years ago, that number would have felt huge. Now, it feels average, almost like it's not enough. Nothing changed about the money, only your perception did. And that shift is where the problem starts. There's also this weird contradiction you might have noticed. You can afford something, but you still feel uncomfortable buying it. Like ordering a $20 meal even though you spent $200 last week without thinking, or hesitating over a small purchase while your savings quietly sit untouched. It's not about the amount, it's about how your brain categorizes money. Some money feels safe to use, some feels off limits. And most of the time, that line isn't logical, it's emotional. That's why two people with the same income can feel completely different about spending. One feels in control, the other feels restricted, even if their numbers are almost identical. Chapter 2. Why this happens. Let's break this down properly, because this isn't random. There are real reasons behind it. 1. Your reference point keeps moving. A few years ago, you compared yourself to where you started. Now, you compare yourself to where others are. Higher salaries, bigger investments, better lifestyles. And suddenly, your progress feels smaller. This is called relative perception, a concept studied in behavioral economics. Research from Harvard University shows that people evaluate their success not in absolute terms, but relative to others around them. So even if you improve, if your comparison group moves faster, you still feel behind. 2. Social media distorts reality. You're not seeing average lives, you're seeing highlights. High income earners, business wins, investment milestones, luxury experiences, all compressed into your daily feed. According to surveys from Pew Research Center, a large portion of young adults say that social media makes them feel financially inadequate, not because they're doing badly, but because they're constantly exposed to extremes, and your brain treats that as normal. 3. You focus on what's missing. Let's say you have $30,000 saved, no high-interest debt, stable income. That's objectively solid. But your brain doesn't highlight that. It highlights what's next, what's not enough yet. This is called negativity bias, where your brain gives more weight to what's lacking than what's already working.
4. Money goals keep expanding. At one point, $10,000 felt like security. Then it became $20,000, then $50,000. then 100,000. Every time you get closer, the target moves, so you never feel like you've arrived, even though you've made real progress. Number 5. You confuse liquid cash with total progress. This one is subtle. You might have money invested, retirement accounts, assets growing, but when you check your checking account, it doesn't reflect that, so you feel like you have less than you actually do, even though your total net worth is increasing. Let's add some real numbers here. According to data from the Federal Reserve, median net worth in the US for individuals under 35 is significantly lower than what most people expect, yet many people above that level still report feeling financially behind because perception doesn't follow data. It follows comparison. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you invest $500 per month. At an average return of 8%, after 10 years, that becomes around $91,000. But during those 10 years, it won't feel like that. Because growth is slow at the beginning, most of the visible progress happens later. So in the early years, it feels like nothing is happening, even when something is. You might see a few $100s in gains, maybe 1,000. Doesn't feel life-changing. But here's what's actually happening. You're building the base. Because compounding isn't linear, it's exponential. Most of the results come later. For example, if your investments grow to $100,000, an 8% return gives you $8,000 in a year. That's when it starts to feel real, but getting to that first $100,000 feels slow, quiet, almost invisible. And that's exactly why people feel like they're not progressing, even when they are. Another layer to this is uncertainty. Even if your numbers look good today, your brain keeps asking, what if something goes wrong? Job loss, unexpected expenses, market drops. So instead of feeling secure, you stay cautious, always preparing, always holding back a little. And while that's responsible, it can also make progress feel less satisfying, because instead of enjoying where you are, you're always thinking about what could go wrong next. That constant what-if thinking makes stability feel temporary. Chapter 3. The Friendly Fix. Now here's the important part. This isn't about ignoring your goals or pretending everything is perfect. It's about seeing things clearly. Number 1. Track net worth, not just cash. Instead of only checking your bank balance, look at everything: savings, investments, assets, because your progress isn't just what's liquid, it's what's growing. Number 2, use your past as a benchmark. Compare yourself to where you were, not where someone else is, because your journey is the only one that reflects your reality. Number 3, set enough numbers. Define what enough looks like. Emergency fund, savings target, investment milestones. Without a definition, your brain keeps moving the goalpost. Number 4, limit constant comparison input. You don't have to eliminate social media. Just be aware of what you're consuming, because what you see daily shapes what feels normal. Number 5, understand the time factor. Wealth building is slow at first, then it accelerates. That's how compounding works. Early stages feel invisible. Later stages feel obvious, but both are part of the same process. Here's a simple way to look at it. You're not behind, you're early, and early always feels slower than it actually is. At the end of the day, money dysmorphia isn't about your finances, it's about your perception of them. And once you start separating those two, you make better decisions, calmer decisions, more accurate decisions. Here's something most people don't say out loud. Feeling behind has become normal, almost expected. No matter how much people earn or save or invest, that feeling doesn't automatically go away because it's not tied to a number, it's tied to perception. And if you don't adjust that perception, the feeling follows you from 5,000 to 50,000 to 100,000. Same feeling, different scale. That's why this matters. Because once you understand what's happening, you stop chasing a number to feel better and start building a system that actually works. So the next time you check your account, and feel like it's not enough, pause for a second. Not to convince yourself everything is perfect, but to ask, am I actually behind, or does it just feel that way? Because that question alone can change how you see your progress. If this made you think a little differently about money, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.